I'm Chao from the Morpheus Clinic for Hypnosis. I'm here to talk to you today about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is the phenomenon where objectively you have a number of achievements, like finishing grad school, being a successful lawyer, being a doctor who's saved countless lives, and yet you don't give yourself credit for any of the achievements, and you think that somehow you've just been faking your way through your life. I've identified a number of characteristics that people have in common when it comes to clients who have imposter syndrome. One of them is that they tend to be high achieving because only high achieving people are able to perceive a disconnect between what they've achieved versus how they feel on the inside. Two, I've noticed that my clients who have this problem are comparing how they feel about themselves on the inside to how their colleagues or peers appear on the outside, which is an unfair comparison. If you were to compare your outward achievements with somebody else's outward achievements, that would be a fair apples-to-apples comparison. If you were also to compare how you feel on the inside, so in other words, your doubts, your worries, your insecurities, with a professional peer's doubts and worries and insecurities, that would also be a fair comparison. But unless you're comparing yourself with someone who's opened up to you like that, chances are that in your mind, you're competing on an uneven playing field where you're comparing everything you know about your mistakes, your childhood, stupid kid things that you did with somebody else's very polished, well-presented professional appearance. Over the years, I've worked with a number of clients who are professionals or managers, people with very good LinkedIn profiles. And yet, very often, those same people come in and they tell me about their worries and their doubts. They tell me about the challenges that they face. And unless you're in such a situation, it's probably wrong to guess that any given successful colleague is completely confident or fearless or motivated or whatever other qualities you ascribe. So I'm going to summarize that as it's important to realize we are all human, and that you cannot compare how you feel on the inside or everything you know about yourself on the inside with how other people appear on the outside. Another point I want to make about imposter syndrome is that it's only fair to hold yourself to the same standards that you would hold somebody else to. If speaking out loud your self-criticism to another person sounds abusive, probably you shouldn't say it to yourself either, even if it is in the privacy of your own mind. Three, in my perfectionism video, I pointed out how the attitudes to counteract perfectionism are good is good enough and done is better than perfect. People with imposter syndrome are often perfectionists, so it's important to keep these kinds of attitudes in mind. Another point I want to make is that your closest friends, your greatest fans, people who know you well, are probably right about you. Whatever messages you hear over and over again, even if it is praise, is probably worth listening to. Another message I want to convey is that if your boss is satisfied with your work or your clients are satisfied with your work, then who are you to second guess their opinions? They probably know what they're talking about. They probably know what they're doing when they give you positive feedback. So one strategy for dealing with imposter syndrome is to defer the judgment of your work to your boss or to your clients. And if they're happy, then you have every reason to accept that it's good enough. If you ask me, imposter syndrome is under-recognized. I have other thoughts on it, but for now I'm going to sign off. Again, it's Chao from the Morpheus Clinic for Hypnosis.